I'm a bit afraid to ask after what we've just talked about, but what is your creative process? Do you have one?
Right.
That's such a...
Because I'm sure you have like the answer prepared for like when you get asked that on a panel, and like I hear you answer that question on the panel, and I'm just like that is not like the Kevin that I know.
So yeah. So it's kind of weird because I don't like. I haven't.
He's buffering. He's buffering.
It's like the what is it? The like the old DLR, whatever DSR, whatever it's called. DLR is the top of my bad. My bad.
Don't worry.
This is it. This is the process, right?
This is the process.
Fucking having some fucking stroke on camera.
You're good. This is fun.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all
I don't know how
great.
much useful content we're actually making.
It's all cut.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
It's a 1 minute supercard video.
Yeah.
he left the end. So
Is it the beeps and the boops?
no, well, yeah. So it comes from many places.
Right.
I can't make that sound good, so I'm just going to meme it. But so let's say, for example, one way is that I've like woken up in the middle of the night. I had like some sort of fucking weird fever dream, but then I've woken up with like some sort of melody in my head.
Yeah.
I'll write it down as like almost like a musical Morse code on like Evernote, because I got like Evernote and I love music.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll do like a little moment where it's like B dash dash is like B for 2 beats. So I'll write like a tempo and maybe like a tempo.
You wake up thinking about melodies?
Only like sometimes, but then the problem is I'll like write it down and be like, oh man, it's fucking good. I'm gonna go back to sleep now. I'm gonna wake up nice and early after I've had a nice rest, and just like get to work, and I wake up and I'm like, oh, it means fucking nothing to me. So I have to like reinterpret what I like wrote.
Memento.
Because I used to do that as well, but now when I do it, I just sing into my phone. So the next morning I wake up and I'm just like, it's just like audio of me just like really quietly at like 3 a.m. Aki must think I'm fucking psychotic because I'm just singing to myself at 3 a.m.
I mean,
But it helps.
it is a
Yeah.
good process. I mean, another way that I like start a piece of music would be like literally just try and like find a cool sound or a cool like riff or something.
Right.
So yeah, whether it be like one of the therapy synthesizers that I decided to get.
Right.
Which synthesizer should I use today?
Just loading up Logic Pro and just being like, okay, let's fuck around and just see what happens. And It's a little cheeky little piano sometimes. It's nice. And
Stop playing stuff.
yeah, it's just like, well, most of it's shit, but then eventually like, you get something that's like, okay, it's not too shit that I couldn't come back and like refine it later.
Right,
Like,
right,
it might be a little bit of a riff, sometimes stuff like that. But so like, let's take the Rising of the Shield Hero main theme. At the start, it's just like sad piano, boom, dun. There's like sad piano.
Yeah.
But then you have this violin coming and going. And it kind of it rises up.
Yeah.
That's the Mario theme.
I was like, I don't remember that in the Rising of the Shield Hero.
No, I would be very out of work.
I've come up with this.
Nintendo lawyers knocking at your door. Like.
I was trying to do like the what's the melody version of that? I guess that really not. I'm sorry, people. I'm very sorry. No,
I'm sorry, guys. I'm so bad.
I'm sorry.
I'm too sober
I
for this.
didn't come prepared. Like my blood alcohol is not of par. So the Rising of the Shield Hero.
Yes.
So the kind of starts. That was where that. So I would start with that and try and work around that.
Right.
So like, I guess you could think of it as like, you're creating like one little line and then you're creating another little line that kind of connects to that. And so it kind of just slowly becomes like a sort of a bit more of a complicated kind of beast.
Becomes like patchwork type of thing, right? Yeah.
And then like you kind of like go back to like kind of fill in and refine. Damn. Right. So like maybe I'll have like a structure of something, or I'll have like, most of a structure of something to work with. And then I'll just kind of sit back and be like, okay, what sucks, what needs to be changed, and just kind of refine. Almost like something like is it drench fishing?
What stats?
It's where like they the
Oh, you just
fishing,
throw
like,
the net
yeah, where
and
it's like a net, it's like, and they kind of drag the seabed, like the seabed, and let's kind of pick up fish like that way. It's like a filter process where you just drench fishing.
That was the loudest like 5 seconds of silence ever on the show.
that was the loudest silence I've ever heard in my life.
I was trying to process.
It was just like
I was trying to say dredge, but then I thought of like the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, I was
And
like, trench
I
fishing.
combined it all. Welcome to the fucking Freudian
drench-
nightmare that is my head.
drench fishing.
Yeah, dredge fishing.
Right.
But like
Right.
you think of that as like, but you're just like going through, you're listening. You're listening.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just, I don't know what this action is anymore.
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of refining until you kind of can't find any more like flaws, so to speak.
Right,
to
right.
try and fix. Or you run out of time. But
Right.
yeah.
Do you kind of like show those like unfinished or like combed through pieces to like other people to get like a second opinion, or do you kind of just
all
like
the time.
Okay.
There's like a few kind of core people where I'll be like, hey, so
Yeah.
tell me.
Right.
just be honest.
Be
Yeah.
honest. Just tell me it real.
What's the track and you wrote and you're just like, this one's the banger. This one's a fucking banger. And I can't wait to hear this.
This is the one that will explode my career.
No, I don't think like that.
Okay.
What I normally like more, what I gravitate more in terms of like being confident about a track is kind of the process of it.
Yeah.
I use an example that I can't tell you like now, but like last night. But like let's take like Made in Abyss season 1 for example.
Right.
There's a track that I mentioned earlier called Swings and Roundabouts, and it involves a really cool sort of arpeggio style playing technique called arpeggiation on a violin. So normally when you play a violin, and I'm sorry, any violinists out there are about to fucking hate me because I'm gonna explain what a violin does like as a flautist, and it's gonna suck. But if you think of it, because normally you see a violin, they play 1 or 2 strings at the time, and then they normally like change their fingers like that. One of the techniques that I really enjoyed was where they put fingers in all 4 strings and then just kind of bow up and down on all 4 strings
Right.
and almost make like a chord. So it's, if you do like that, it doesn't do much, but you go 1, 2, 3, 4, back 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like this kind of cool kind of chord sort of thing, and you can play it very, very fast because they're fucking good musicians. But then you can change that all the time. So you always like. And you kind of changing chords all the time, and you can make like these really cool because it's a very shimmery sort of texture. But I did that on 1 violin, and then I had in Abyss season 1 we had 3 violins, 3 viola, 2 cello, and 1 bass, and they're all of them playing like solo parts. So it's like 9 solos together, and they're all playing these different chords, like arpeggiated chords together, and it's sort of making this bit of this sort of cacophony of like sounds and stuff. So like doing those sorts of things makes me feel good about that track. It's like, oh, I got to explore this kind of crazy thing. I got to like kind of make this. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, I got to like kind of explore that, and it didn't fucking fail.
And it sounds good.
It sounds great. Yeah, and and I like the noise.
Yeah,
I like the noise.
This is so alien to me. Like you're explaining all this stuff, and it literally just sounds like another world. Like it doesn't sound like a thing that I can even comprehend. But I appreciate it because I know you're making sense.
Yeah,
it's just like. To me, I have like such engineering and math brain. The way I approach everything, and like it's very like, okay, I just do it. I do it. There's nothing that's like just a gut feeling.
There's no experimentation.
I mean, there needs to be a part of that in this process as well. Because experience means that you can execute these ideas.
True.
You can have. I've had like crazy fucking ideas I have no idea how to do, and I still don't.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Well, you said something earlier, and I was like, how do you convince? So, you mentioned that you're in like a chapel or something, and you're recording like an orchestra or something.
Right.
How do you go like, hey, higher ups? I have this idea. I'd like to rent out a church somewhere in Austria. Could we ship and get a bunch of violinists and all the people there? It might work out. Let's just see how it goes. By the way, it's $100,000 for 2 hours.
The might part is definitely not something that I translate.
You're like, it's definitely
gonna work.
I mean, first off, thankfully there's trust, so like that.
Right. I mean, you've proven that
a little bit of trust.
Yeah.
But so obviously, like when you start a project, you give it a budget. And the budget, sometimes you can like kind of stretch it a little bit, and you can do some little bit of black magic just to get some deals and stuff.
Is budget this might sound stupid. There's budget, and then you get your pay separate, right? That's like completely Or is it like you have to decide? Make it all in one.
There's a composer's fee, and then there's a budget
right.
fee.
Okay, makes sense.
Production fee.
Okay, makes sense.
Right.
Pretty standard, but so when we were able to kind of like explore this idea of using Made in Abyss as an example, we're trying to explore this this massive studio called the Synchron Stage in Vienna, which I think it fits like 135 musicians. It's a massive room.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's like a football field, if not slightly more. Like it is
I understand that metric.
Yeah,
a football. Oh no, there we go.
And it's got a really unique sound profile. And so you can stick like a really small amount of musicians in there, and it will sound fucking huge because they put all these microphones around. So you get all these ambient microphones. They stick them like fucking 30 feet up in the air and stuff, and you have what they're called outriggers, and you got like everything, man. You got all this sound to play with.
Is that not just like a nightmare to have to go through all those different like angles of sound?
It's a pleasure, mate. Absolutely.
To me, you're saying that to me, and I'm like, holy shit, the setup required to
Kevin gets off on that.
I'm raging hard on for it.
Just setting up like 4 mics for this fucking podcast gives me an aneurysm.
He sees a mic 30 feet up in the air, he's just bricked up. He's like, damn, that's gonna sound so good.
These mics got me acting up, man.
So you have absolute permission to like slit my throat if I don't actually utilize the space like that. Like you'd be fucking nuts too.
Yeah.
But no, so the space is phenomenal, and then we get a small amount of musicians because we decided small amount of characters in the film, in the show, small amount of musicians to kind of like mimic that kind of party size.
Yeah.
And so just having 3 solo violinists, 3 solo viola, 2 solo cello, 1 solo bass, but then them all kind of doing their own thing. But because the space is so good and so clean, you can have all these voices like really if you orchestrate correctly.
Right.
You can, and so it's like if you balance your textures correctly and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
You can have like a really rich sound with a small amount of people, and it can sound phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's really
You're
fun.
performing magic.
Yeah.
This means you just said like so many words that I'm like, I get it.
I'm like, damn, man, say that again.
I mean, because sometimes
I appreciate it.
No, not at all. But I mean, sometimes like just the basic stuff, like even just doing the base, but it is like kind of let's call it simple, like refined simple sort of ideas is really, really fun. One of the other tracks that's in Abyss Season 1 called Recapitulation. Something in Recapitulation, sorry. But I should probably remember my own tracks. But it just involves the 9 strings, just playing just notes. And all they're doing is changing the duration of the bow hand in order to get shorter or longer notes. So they have like 3 different levels of length of note.
But it's the same note.
It's the same note. I mean, we change up the chords sometimes, but it is quite minimalistic in that particular track.
Right.
So basically, if you change the texture in that room, because you have something called oh Christ, I should probably remember the damn thing from what's it called? No, we're gonna
all right. You'll remember it. You'll remember it.
All good, man. All good.
It's like early reflections. I think it's called early reflections.
Okay.
Right.
The early reflections of the sound. So like the sound that kind of like, because sound's flying everywhere in the room.
Right.
This is one thing I do understand.
Sound goes everywhere, and obviously it bounces off certain points and then comes back to the microphone. Those early reflections in that room are really, really cool.
Right.
And they have a lot of character because it's almost like an echo effect or like a chorus effect. And so, for example, if I recorded your voice in there, but I didn't use like the mic that's in front of you, but I used the mics that caught like the first reflections of you just behind you or in front of you or something like that, it would almost sound like there's like 10 of you.
Right,
so really cool chorus effect. It's quite unique to that. I mean,
because it's kind of like spread out and bounced around a little bit, right?
Just because of the quality of the wood in the room and stuff like that, like, things change, and so it is like a really good room.
So is this place like famous? Because I can't imagine. Okay, you're gonna record a soundtrack. You want like a certain sound profile for like Made in Abyss, like because this place seems like it was tailor-made for a series like Made in Abyss, set in caverns and wide open spaces.
Yeah.
How do you like go about finding the perfect recording spot or the perfect recording space?
The correct recording spot, yeah.
Yeah, the correct.
So for Abyss, it was that one. I think because Rising of the Shield Hero, we recorded in Boston with a rock orchestra, and they specified in rock orchestra. So the players did live performances at the time. With a full live band. I think they did some Final Fantasy stuff, among other Square Enix projects, among other things as well.
Right.
So they like kind of specialized in that kind of quite cool kind of attitude orchestra with rock, which is what we wanted to achieve for Shield Hero.
Right.
Tower of God, obviously, I mean, it's in the name as well. It has like a slightly biblical sort of sensibility about it. And we found this hall in the Czech Republic called the Dvorak Hall. So it's this beautiful old hall. It was built, I think, in the name of Dvorak. So he's like a very, very, very famous composer of romantic, late romantic music, I should say. But so this hall was designed either for him or by him or around him. So sorry about not being specific about it, but it is a beautiful concert hall. It is ancient. It has this beautiful, lush sort of like reverb tail and stuff. Yeah. It is fucking pretty to like listen to, and it's a performance hall, but they also do recording there.
Yeah,
and so we recorded string orchestra there for Tower of God because it had this sort of almost cathedral-esque sort of sensibility, which worked great for certain aspects of the Tower of God soundtrack. In terms of, like, the concepts.
Right.
Oh. So this one hall, it had a very specific sound that, say, a normal cathedral wouldn't.
I'm sure a normal cathedral would, but that's when practicality comes into it. So you got to make sure at the end of the day that, again, you got to fit within certain budgets and stuff like that. I mean, that's part of like the business skills part of it, which does come in.
Right. So I imagine you have these grandiose ideas and this concept that you have, and there's a guy there that is like, I am here to scale you down. Yeah. I'm here to make sure that you keep your
So you're pushing the envelope a little bit, aren't you? Like,
it's like I want to record on the moon because it's a space opera. I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
No, there's no sound in space.
We're getting real experimental.
We're gonna build a cathedral in space.
Yeah. Apparently, a dying black hole or like a black hole is like the loudest sound ever. But you can't hear it.
I believe it.
Yeah, I believe
probably,
that.
Probably.
Yeah. The moon would be nice, but I don't think I'm gonna.
You're not gonna make a whole lot of progress there.
No.
I think tell us the fact about the dying black hole being the loudest thing.
No, I think they did manage to record it. Oh no, yeah, I think it is. It must be the loudest sound because it's a black hole consuming stars. But they managed to record the sound of it, I think, recently, and it's like this eerie fucking it's atoms being crushed into nothing.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway,
interesting bit of.
We're not going to the moon. We're not going to the moon.
Second loudest is a Modern Warfare 2 lobby.
Exactly.